Fallout 76 is finally receiving an update on December 4th that will address the stash limit, boss loot, power armor bug, among many other issues in the game. Bethesda has insisted there will be more communication moving forward, and they apparently want to keep us updated on the future of Fallout 76, and these early patch notes for update 1.0.2 are a good start. Another bit of good news before we get into the patch notes themselves: this update will only be approximately 3 GB on console and 36 MB on PC, which is a great improvement over their previous updates, which were massive in size. I'm talking like 45 GB. Thankfully, Bethesda has listened to that feedback over the huge download sizes with this update. So what does update 1.0.2 address in Fallout 76? Starting off with general, PC frame rates are once again uncapped. However, reaching very high frame rates will no longer cause movement speed to increase. This was originally fixed in the November 19th patch update. The Fallout 76 game client and servers have also received additional stability improvements. As for camp, crafting, and workshops, maximum stash storage has been increased by 50% to 600 pounds. This is just a conservative adjustment, and they plan to increase the storage cap further in the future once they've verified this change does not impact the stability of the game. For balance, we received some very notable updates. XP rewards for killing high-level creatures have been reduced, which I would assume is primarily due to the fact of the unexpected amount of farming of high-level enemies, which levels up the player very quickly. In fact, I would argue it's the fastest way to level up in the game. I have no issue with this change myself, as it makes sense in terms of how fast players should level up. They also fix an issue affecting instanced boss loot, so players should now correctly receive 2 to 4 items per boss, depending on the creature's difficulty and level. This has been an issue mainly ruining the endgame for high-level players such as myself. As an example, the Scorchbeast Queen dropped me nothing, so I'm glad this was addressed very quickly. Automatic weapon damage has been increased by approximately 20% across the board, and I've been saying how garbage I think the automatic weapons are in Fallout 76, so I'm glad that they're listening to the feedback by the community as well. They're by far the worst weapon type in the game, so this update is very welcome and might sway me to using them a little more often. For PvP balancing, hitting another player with a cryolator now applies a chilled, frosted, or frozen status based on how many times they were hit. The duration of movement speed reductions applied by these effects have been significantly decreased as well. Now moving on to bug fixes, which this game has desperately needed more of, and it actually addresses some very large issues. Starting off with, of course, stability and performance. For console, fix an issue that could cause the player to encounter an infinite loading screen when signing out of their console account while playing Fallout 76. And for Xbox, addressed a crash that could occur when sending multiple team invites immediately after exiting Vault 76 to a player who is not a friend. For general bug fixes, fix an issue affecting power armor frames that could prevent the player from exiting their power armor, an issue that I'm sure the majority of the community has encountered either on themselves or another player. This issue has been very game-breaking for people unaware of the fix. And then we also got flipboards inside nuke silos no longer display portions of launch codes too soon after the codes were reset for the week. For camp, workshops, and crafting bug fixes, that includes the following. Moving camp locations will now correctly move standalone items built by the player into the build menu stored tab. On PS4, wires will no longer appear to float in mid-air when attempting to connect to 2 or more objects, and turrets will no longer become invisible if the player is not present at their camp when their turrets are destroyed. For perks, ranking up a perk card will no longer cause a duplicate card to appear. For social, fix an issue that could prevent a team from being correctly formed in a game world after creating the team on the main menu when both players are using new characters. And display durations for social notification have been reduced when many notifications are pending. This should help address an issue in which players did not see that they successfully joined a team. For survival, the electrically charged and unstable isotope mutations no longer provide the player with bonus health. And for user interface, we actually got quite a few updates. First off is a very welcome one. An AFK kick has been implemented, so players will now be disconnected from a game world after 10 minutes of inactivity and will be prompted with a timer 1 minute before being kicked. On PC, the cursor position will no longer be disjointed from clicks in the atomic shop while using 16:10 resolutions. Red crosshairs and enemy health bars will no longer persist on screen when an enemy is no longer in view. Subtitles will now appear correctly, and English voiceovers will play for game clients in languages that do not have their own localized voiceover when listening to a holotape or interacting with robots. Fix an issue that could cause duplicate data to appear in the Pip-Boy stat and effects interfaces. Dying while severely over-encumbered will no longer remove all map markers when attempting to respawn. Instead, the player can now respawn at the nearest discovered map marker. And lastly, the quest objective notifications will no longer appear for inactive quests immediately upon connecting to a world. All of which are very welcome changes to Fallout 76 in my opinion, and they followed through with delivering everything they promised for the patch in the first Inside the Vault article. Bethesda is also following this patch up with a update coming on December 11th, which if you want to learn more about, you can check out that video by clicking the I at the top right of this video. Let me know your thoughts on this update. Is it a good enough start to get this game on track to a better future? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, please smack that like button down below, subscribe to join the good fight if you haven't already, and ring the bell icon to stay updated on all of my future videos. It would be super greatly appreciated as always, and until next time, this is Epoxy signing off.